Well, the sales have completely dried up and Carvana is screwed more than they already were before. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So this Carvana saga has been absolutely fascinating to watch because it's just been like a crash, not quite in slow motion because it's actually happening pretty fast, but a crash nonetheless. So you guys probably all know, but I'm just going to quickly get you up to date. Carvana went from being valued at a ton of money because they were finally profitable after a decade of not being profitable because of sky-high car prices that happened during COVID. And, well, they decided to buy a bunch of cars at those sky-high prices, and cars have obviously declined a massive amount in value since the peak. Wholesale values are down by over 20% at this point on average. And so Carvana is now left with a bunch of inventory that they overpaid for, and they're now in a market where people aren't in a buying frenzy. People just simply aren't buying cars right now like they were before. And so Carvana is in the situation where they have all this inventory that they need to sell, but they can't sell it because, well, if they did sell it, they'd have to lose money on it. And even if they lose money on it, people still aren't buying. And so Carvana is now trying to get around this by just wholesaling cars and losing a bunch of money. And this is what they're telling investors, is that things are going to get even rougher and they're going to have to lose some money in the short term to basically rebalance their inventory so then they can kind of start from scratch. This is what a lot of dealerships have frankly been doing over the last few months, and dealerships have been far more successful than Carvana because, well, they saw the writing on the wall before Carvana somehow, some way, and they rebalance their inventories far sooner. And so most of your, average car dealerships are actually in a pretty good situation, unlike Carvana. They're not hemorrhaging, literally billions of dollars, and they're not billions of dollars in debt like Carvana. And obviously, if losing a bunch of money wasn't enough, Carvana is continuing to lose their dealer's license in state after state because they can't get titles and because they just don't follow the laws and rules within the states that they sell cars. I mean, there have been a bunch of stories that have surfaced recently where Carvana has been delivering cars to customers that have major issues that weren't disclosed by Carvana, and Carvana is basically telling the customers, yep, you got to take it. And then the customers are obviously going to their states and they're saying, hey, this is what Carvana did to me. And the state's like, oh, no, you didn't. Guess what? Your dealer's license, it is long gone. So now that you're up to date, we need to talk about the current situation because it's actually getting pretty dire. So we don't have official, national figures in terms of what Carvana's sales numbers are right now after the month of December. But with all of the social media coverage on Carvana and frankly, the coverage with legacy media as well, there has been a massive pullback in terms of buying. And the way that we can see this is, first off, go to your local Carvana vending machine if you happen to live near one. And what you will most likely see is there's probably not going to be a lot of cars around the vending machine. There's definitely not going to be a lot of cars inside the vending machine. If you don't know, when cars are sold, they get put in the vending machine so a customer, if they want to pick it up at the vending machine, can go in and then have the whole fancy elevator thing happen and then they get the car delivered to them. Well, if Carvana's not selling cars, they're not going to be in there and you're not going to see them in there. I mean, I just drove by, again, this is anecdotal, but I just drove by my local Carvana, vending machine today and it was literally empty. The lights were off. It's like, are they even in business anymore? Like it's getting pretty crazy. But the other thing that is telling, other than the vending machines being empty, is the fact that more and more Carvana cars are starting to pop up on wholesale websites. Carvana is advertising more and more to wholesale buyers to just try to get rid of their inventory because they just don't think that they can retail out of their vehicles at this point. Like, they are trying to liquidate their inventory like crazy. And then on top of that, Carvana is continuing to lease more and more of their vending machines. If you don't know, what Carvana is doing is they're basically selling the land and the vending machine to a third-party company and then having that company lease it back to Carvana so Carvana can basically cash out on the land and on the vending machine so they can use that cash to run operations, and then they obviously pay money to their new landlord. And I kind of feel bad for those landlords because they're probably not going to get paid rent in the very near future. And so you just have all these things that just show the writing on the wall, and that writing is that Carvana is getting very, very close to the end. And I just made a video recently talking about this, but with the amount of vehicles that I'm seeing on the wholesale market from Carvana, and again, with all these empty vending machines, it's like they're probably just going to be like KO'd after December. Like this is it. This is the last month if you want to buy a car from Carvana. And speaking of buying a car from Carvana, I frankly would not do it. That's just my personal opinion. You can do whatever you want. You guys are all grown adults watching these videos. So if you want to go purchase a car from Carvana, then go and do it. I just frankly wouldn't. When you have a company being told by the people that have lent that company money that they need to file for bankruptcy, like, it's bad. That's really bad. Like, why would you buy from a company that is losing literally billions of dollars? Now, I understand that some people are going to say, well, because their car is priced lower than other people's cars. And what I'd have to say to that is, first off, if you buy a car from Carvana, depending on what state you're in, you may or may not get the title to that vehicle because, again, Carvana has an issue with getting people their titles. On top of that, if you happen to be someone that finances and you happen to finance through Carvana, well, just put yourself in a scenario of you finance through Carvana and maybe even bought a warranty from Carvana and Carvana goes out of business. Good luck getting warranty claims, and good luck with that whole financing deal. I'm sure that will go over well for you. You'll most likely have to go through some legal stuff and get that whole thing figured out, or you might have someone that comes with a tow truck at your house, and they might. I'm being over dramatic a bit, but like, I wouldn't buy a car from a company that is going under. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Once Carvana does go under, that might actually be a good buying opportunity because, again, then they'll have to like officially liquidate their inventory, and so that'll give buyers, a chance to buy some used cars at wholesale value or potentially even below wholesale value, because maybe Carvana will be in a situation where it'll be a time crunch where they got to get rid of the inventory within a certain time frame, and that is very possible. That's usually what happens with liquidations when a company goes under. And so that, I guess that's the scenario where I would buy a car from Carvana. If Carvana has, officially gone out of business and they're fully liquidating their inventory and you can buy cars for significantly under market value, then that's the buying time. But buying from Carvana while they are still in business at this point, it doesn't make sense. But again, the general trend that it looks like is happening is that people are finally starting to come to their senses. They're not purchasing cars from Carvana. And so we're just going to continue to see these empty vending machines with the lights turned off. So that's going to sum things up for a video talking about the Carvana situation as it is evolving. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below if you would consider purchasing a car from Carvana with everything that's happening. Let's just say, hypothetically, Carvana had a car that you were looking at and it was priced lower than other vehicles that you were looking at in the market. Would you do it? I think that's a pretty loaded question, and interesting response. Again, for me personally, like, unless I was able to pay cash for that car and basically get the title right there and then, like, I would want to talk to Carvana's reps and be like, hey, do you guys actually have the title of this car? Frankly, it just doesn't make sense in my personal opinion. Again, if you're financing all that kind of stuff, it's like, ugh, that is just a scary situation to be in. Just imagine, again, buying a car and then finding out that, well, it's not actually yours because the company you bought the car from went out of business. And again, that warranty that you paid for, and I don't know how expensive those Carvana warranties are, but they're probably thousands of dollars. Again, that also doesn't work anymore. Good luck getting money for that. But anyways, that'll sum things up. If I have any sort of like meaningful updates on the Carvana situation, I'll make another video. But I think at this point, until they like fully go out of business or file for bankruptcy, there's not really much else to talk about with this topic. But anyways,